Hi, this is Landon Bryce from ThoughtCast.com, and this is actually my third video on the interview that Dharun Ravi did last night on 2020. And the reason I think this is such an important issue to me is A, because 2020 did something very similar after the death of Matthew Shepard. They did an expose on which they talked to his killers, in which they made it very clear that they didn't think it was a hate crime, and that's what my first video was about. My second video was about the way that they really presented the two, Dharun in as sympathetic light as possible, and Tyler in perhaps a less sympathetic light than they might have. In this one, I want to talk about how they're just very credulous in terms of presenting what happened between the two guys. In a way that benefits Dharun. First of all, the idea, Dharun says that he didn't think he outed Tyler because if he has a guy over, he doesn't care if people know he's gay. Well, that's, people actually do have male friends over. You may have thought he was odd, but, and he may not have minded if you knew that he wanted the place to himself, but that doesn't mean that it's okay for you to tweet out to everybody who might be following you on Twitter that you saw him making out with a dude, yay. Dharun also indicated that he thought that the fact that Tyler had checked his Twitter feed 38 times in the couple of days before he died, that didn't indicate that he was feeling intimidated, that he was upset about what he'd said, because he said he'd been following him since day one. Okay, right, but what was the first thing that he tweeted about his roommate was that he was gay and that he wasn't happy about it. So Tyler had always had a reason to be unhappy about and intimidated with what Dharun had said. In telling part of the story, they really de-emphasize something. They emphasize very strongly that Dharun sent an apology to Tyler, but they de-emphasized that before he got that apology, the RA had visited him and made it clear that he was going to be in trouble, and that Tyler had complained. And the apology is very easily interpreted as Dharun trying to get himself out of a nasty situation. He realizes, that he's going to get in trouble for what he's done, so he's sending an apology. And a big thing that's odd about the apology is that he says, he has this great gay friend and he has no trouble. And then Chris Cuomo asks a couple of the jurors, well, if you knew that he had this gay friend, would you how would you feel? Would you feel differently? And they said, oh yeah, we'd feel differently. Well, who didn't appear in this special? Who did not appear at Dharun Ravi's trial? This mythical gay friend. And it's not, and the idea that we need a mistrial because the jurors didn't hear him mention the gay friend in the text. You could have brought the gay friend on. I did another whole video about what a terrible job I think that Dharun's defense did. And then finally, Chris Cuomo asked, you're not saying you want no punishment. Well, in fact, he did say he wanted no punishment, right? He pled not guilty to all of the charges. It would have been very, very possible for him to plead guilty to the things that he was clearly guilty of, and to say, and I think if he had taken responsibility for those, if he'd actually been able to put forth any sort of positive defense that he was not homophobic, something that counteracted the evidence of homophobia that they saw, I think it would have been very easy for the jurors not to convict him of the bias intimidation charges. There just wasn't. They just felt like they didn't need to offer anything, and they felt that putting Tyler and MB on trial was going to work for them. Also, as I mentioned previously, I think it's very significant that they really seem not to have factored in anti-Asian bias. The fact that people might think less sympathetically towards Dharun because of he's Indian. And I think that was a big mistake in the defense. Anyway, thanks.